You're an ex-tennis player yourself.
Absolutely.
Why are adults dropping off?
Well, I think a big part of that is that, there was such a big boom in the 70s with John McEnroe, Connors, Borg, that a lot of people got very into it. Even people from outside the sport joined the sport. And then since then, there was a big boom, and then people just started dropping off because there was a lot of fitness clubs coming on. There was other opportunities to get exercise. And we haven't had a real dominant player in the last 10 or 15 years in the men's game. Serena is fantastic in the women's game.
So do you notice any discrepancy between then women staying in the game versus men, if you take a look at, say, the popularity of Serena Williams, or across the board?
Well, I would say that because our business is basically juniors mostly in the afternoon and people that don't work in the mornings, and then the men come out, or the people that work come out on the weekends or very late or very early, that it's kind of still balanced in terms of men and women playing, but I think there's a slight increase in women.
So what does that do for the U.S. Open in, say, 10, 15 years, and how is that different from the big players in the tennis world that we see, say, in Europe, for example?
Well, we're really excited about the under-10 movement, because in Europe, for many years, they've been putting kids on little courts with little rackets and easier, bigger balls to hit. And they actually started playing the game at an earlier age. Where traditionally here in the States for the last 20 years, you'd get kids in a line and you would sort of feed them tennis balls with a big racket, big net, big court. Hard to get into that. It's much more fun playing a game. And in today's the way we do it, and others around the country, USTA has been forcing sort of people, if you will, to start with mini courts, mini nets, mini balls, and it just gets easier to play. So we'll get more kids involved and eager to play.
Do you know anything about the breakdown in terms of who is actually playing, say, financially? I mean, is it still considered like a rich person's sport, like, say, golf would be considered, because it's just so expensive to play? Because golf has had some of the same issues, right? They're trying to appeal it to younger people. They want the old men off the field, bring in the new kids.
Absolutely. Well, the barrier to entry is somewhat more difficult in colder climates, obviously. Like New York, there's a lot of indoor tennis, and it does get more expensive. But certainly in warmer climates, there's not that big barrier to entry. But the big thing is really just to get kids out in the court some way. And the USTA and we do a lot of activities to try and get under-resourced kids on the tennis court. And for those that do have the money, they can play 4 or 5 times a day and get really good and compete.
What's the role of the superstars? Like, should Serena Williams be doing here to get more people playing?
Well, I'd love to see her. I'm sure she does it when she has the time. I'd love to see her go out to, any type of activity where it brings a lot of children into play, where she would come and do exhibitions or just lend a hand and win. Continue winning.
Who are you rooting for? What's your prediction for the U.S. Open?
Wow, I think Serena's so good, and she's obviously under a lot of pressure, but this would be fantastic for the game if she wins.
And what about on the men's side?
The men, you got to love Fed. He's such a great player, but Djokovic is playing great. Love to see Nadal come back. He's been struggling of late.
Them and some 10-year-olds. That sounds great.